Hello, and welcome to the Knitical Therapy Podcast. I'm Carrie, your host and Knitical therapist. Today I am here on November 8th to share with you a few objects that I have finished, as well as something that I have started working on after a very long time of it being tucked away, and I'm trying to think, it has actually traveled all the way from Buffalo to every place that I have lived since then, and I'm not sure I have touched it at all in the last year. So I touched it this morning, so we'll see what that project is here shortly. This is my first finished object. I've got my What the Fade. You can see the colors are absolutely wonderful, which I cannot take credit for these colors at all. This was in a kit from the Evil Little Goat dyer. I believe her name is Diane, and the color sense in this is just beautiful. I absolutely love the fade. I think the only thing I would maybe have changed if I had known how this was going to turn out is I maybe would have started with the pink and gone down to the turquoise. Just because it just seems like it's overall kind of pink dominant, and I really love this turquoise color here up at the top. So that's the only thing I probably would have changed, but honestly, I'm so happy with it. And this was so much knitting, there's no way I would go back now. I haven't put any tassels on there yet. I think I will do that, but I haven't decided if I need to block it at all. I'm pretty happy with the size, so it'd really just be to kind of flatten everything out, and it's been lugged around for the last 2 months, so it probably could use some cleaning. But I don't really know how the tassels would work with that. Like, I don't know if they would get kind of ratty if I washed it afterwards. So I'm kind of thinking if I'm going to wash it, I will wash it, block it out, have to find a place large enough to block it out, and then go from there. With the tassels and everything. But I haven't fully decided. I'm planning on wearing it just probably honestly with all of the strings hanging tomorrow to Knit Group to show it off, and then get some opinions. So that's pretty exciting. The next thing that I finished are my last 5th and final pair of Christmas mitts. So these are just my own pattern, cast on 48 stitches, did about 15 rounds of knit 2 purl 2 rib, and then switched to stockinette and changed color. Oops, sorry, my computer behind me is turning off, so it changed the color all weird. Changed colors, and then it actually ended up being 8 rounds and 8 rounds. But on some of the other pairs, I actually did 10 rounds up here, and I think 8 down here. I kept miscounting. After you've made them, now these are like 9th and 10th time, it can be really easy to mess up, I guess. You get kind of confident. You think you know what you're doing, and you don't look at what you did before. So I actually, on the 9th mitt, I had done 10 rows like I was supposed to. On the 10th mitt, I did 8. So then last night I had to rip back and just do 8 because it was really obvious that they weren't the same. So as you can see, I have lots of ends between the two projects to sew in. I think tomorrow at Knit Group, I'm going to be solely sewing in ends because I've got a whole pile over here that you can't even see, but whole pile of stuff that needs to have ends woven in. So that's kind of my plan. I really need to get that done. That is something I've put on my list of things I want done by the end of this year. So we'll see if I can get it done. Finally, the thing that I have been working on since casting off those mittens and the fade is I pulled out another pair of mittens. So these are, and I will put these on because they're actually a little lacy, so it's better if you can see them on my hand. The watch doesn't look the best under it, but you get the idea. So these are, I'm calling the Juanita mitts. And these are made from the pattern from Cookie A's Juanita sock pattern. And basically, I started them as socks, probably like 2 years ago now. And I turned the heel, got halfway down the foot and realized my gauge was too tight and I had to rip back. And I can't remember at this point, I think my dad mentioned, well, why don't you just make them mittens? Because they kind of looked like mittens at the time anyways. And so I was like, you know, that's a good idea. So I can't remember if I had ripped back all the way and then just restarted them and then decided to make mitts instead of socks, or if these were the original sock. I mean, it seems pretty stretchy, but I'm not sure. This probably wouldn't have gone over my foot. So this, I think, was the original. So this is in Knit Picks Felici. And I think it's like the firefighter colorway or something. It's, you know, most Felici are, you know, very obvious stripes. These are less obvious stripes of red. Not my favorite of colors, but I think this was from when shortly after I first had used Felici, and I had ordered a whole bunch, pretty much every color that they had at the time or whatever. So it is kind of nice to have some reasonably solid Felici yarn because it's nice and soft. Really like using it. And then this is where I am on the second sock, or second mitt. You can see I've got the ribbing, and then I think I did one row of the pattern, so you can't even see it started there. But yeah, so I'm hoping that this will go pretty quick. It's just, you know, it's a pretty easy lace pattern, but it's just kind of sitting down and doing it. And I don't know why I've just been carrying it around with me for, as I said, like a year and a half, but hopefully now I can get it done. I have some super finish it up itis. Is that what it's called? I don't know. But I definitely want to get this done. So at this point, I think I only have 7 projects on the needles. So that's pretty exciting. I'm down from like 9, I guess. And I have a 2 other shawls and a sweater, a scrap blanket, a pair of socks, which I had not started, I don't think, the last time I talked to you guys. And then I think that might be, there's a baby sweater that I started again like 2-3 years ago. And if I didn't have the whole body finished, I would probably just tear it out and put the yarn away for another time. But it was a newborn vertebrae, and I just decided, you know, I basically have the whole thing except for except for the sleeves. I think I have the button band done even, but I could be wrong. But yeah, like I have so much of it done, I might as well just finish it and put it away for some time when I have a friend who's having a baby, right? Who knows? But again, without a specific baby in which the sweater is going to, I just don't feel the motivation to do it. So that is all I have as far as knitting today. Obviously I have other things I have worked on since the last time we talked. These are the only most immediate things that I've worked on. So I'm going to try and keep things short and sweet so that you guys have time to watch some other podcasts, get on with other things in your life. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, if you're interested, is my running that I've recently, and by recently I mean the last few months. I, shortly after moving to San Mateo, where I am now, I found a half marathon that I wanted to sign up for. And so I signed up for it and I got training because I'd started to build up my mileage already prior to that, but I didn't have any specific race in mind. And it's always easier when you have a specific race. So that race came and happened this past weekend, and my goal had been to finish in 2.5 hours, so 2 hours, 30 minutes. And I had been doing some long training runs with a group called Moms Run This Town, or She Runs This Town. It's a national organization, and my local chapter is wonderful. Obviously, I'm not a mother, so it was a little weird at first going and showing up and being like, hey, I'm just a girl who runs. And that's the great thing about it. They're very, very inclusive. They don't make a big deal about, you know, having rules about who can join, who can't. And they have been wonderful. There's been a couple women there who I've run with almost every week since I started running with them. And honestly, I would not have been able to run that half marathon without them. The longest run I had done prior to the half marathon was 11 miles. And based on what I did that run, it was totally possible to do the 2.5, but I had not actually paced myself prior to that for that long of a run. So I guess long story short, I did it. I showed up that morning and I ran my half marathon in 2 hours and 27 minutes, and I was so excited about it. It was such a great moment. So I was really proud of myself for that. And I went out for my recovery run today, so 3 days after. I had some pretty good blisters, so I could not go out sooner, even though my muscles were feeling pretty good yesterday. My feet were not going back in those running shoes. So just did a couple miles tonight, and then I have a couple more runs planned for later this week, and I hope I can stick with it. I have a 15K scheduled on January 7th, which should be a fun one. It's a hot chocolate race. So at the end, I hear there's like chocolate throughout the race, but I don't think I could possibly stomach chocolate while running. But then they also have like a big bowl of chocolate for you at the end. So it'll be interesting because, again, like, you just ran 9 miles and your body's not necessarily used to eating a whole bunch of chocolate after running. So that'll be interesting to say the least. But I think that's everything for today. Thank you so much for stopping in. I hope I can come back and be more consistent. Actually, I got a new microphone, which hopefully my sound quality is better. And that'll help motivate me to do this. I don't have to speak as loudly, and hopefully it's still better for you guys to hear. This way, like with Richard sleeping in the next room, I can do this without disturbing him, I hope. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you next week. Bye.